Hello. This is my hair for the day, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it because I don't know how else to get it off my face for this makeup routine. But I'm super excited to start filming. I promise I'm not gonna chat that long. I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna go wash my face and exfoliate, really get all the dead skin off because you can't see since I don't have like an HD camera. I'm just using my laptop, but I do get a lot of little dry patches around my nose. Especially when it starts to get a little colder, and now it's still hot right now, especially in Michigan, but like once the weather changes, those dry spots are so annoying, and I always make sure to have kind of like a little oil serum I put on after I wash my face, or even just Vaseline to kind of build up a barrier. But today's look is going to be very peachy. I'm actually going to do something different and start with the eyes first because I want to do like a sharp eye look where I use tape to make sure there's no fallout or anything. I like to do that obviously before foundation so I don't peel off the tape and peel off my base. But yes, I'm going to go wash my face, moisturize really well, and prime, and then we'll be ready to get started. So if you are interested in watching that, just keep watching. Alright, so now I think I'm going to shock everyone by going in and starting my eyes first. And even before I do my brows, I just want to get this eye look down and then kind of shape my brows around it. Who knows, maybe I'll do my brows on camera because I never ever do that. But just to start, I'm going in with this Instant Age Rewind Concealer in the shade Fair. I really like this as an eye primer because it doesn't crease and it kind of like gets rid of any discoloration on the lids. Take just a little bit of like regular Scotch tape and place it in my outer corner, just like that, where I want the shadow to stop, and I'll even like formulate my liner around this. With a big fluffy Sigma E40 brush, I'm going to jump into this shade right here, Golden Ochre, in my Modern Renaissance palette, and just use a very little bit like buffed out as my first transition color. Going into this little tiny Kylie mini palette that if you remember these, then you're a real one, because they came out like 2 years ago for Valentine's Day, and my friend Brooke got me it, and I was like obsessed. I used to use it all the time, and I just rediscovered it, so sorry for that segue story, but I'm going to go in with the shade Sweet Thing right here, and a fluffy brush. This is just from my Sephora set, not sure what it's called, and really kind of buff into my crease. As you can see, I'm really packing it in along this outer corner and along the tape because I want this to be like one of my brightest, most prominent colors. So just really picking up a lot on the brush and dabbing it on right here, and then blending back in towards the inner corner. I went downstairs to grab my Starbucks and my mom asked me if I was having an allergic reaction. No. No, Mom. It's my makeup that I thought looked kind of good. So. And now, of course, you know how I do. I like to use just a clean finger for shimmery shades. Going into Main Squeeze, this shimmer right here. I'm going to pack that onto the lid. You could totally stop right here just using those 3 colors I've used and just say call it a day on your eyeshadow, totally fine. But for me, I want to just do a little bit more because I like to be extra. And I'm going to go in with my Too Faced Sparkling Bellini blush. It's super gorgeous. I love this blush. And I'm going to start kind of buffing together the shimmer and the regular peach shade with this and a very fluffy brush. I'm going to go in with this Moon Dust highlighter by Ciate London and a little tiny pencil brush. This is a Sigma E30, and do my inner corners. Now it's time for liner, so I'm going to be going in with the Ciate London. It's a limited edition liner pen called Starstruck because on one side it has this fun stamp. It's like a literal star stamp, which is really cool for like fun, festive night looks. And then the other side is actually a really good pen liquid liner. And I am not a huge pen kind of gal, but since I have this tape to guide me, I'm really just going to kind of use it to darken up the lash line. That looks like garbage. So this looks like garbage too. Turns out I still hate pen liners. I'm gonna go do some damage control and hopefully be back with something that doesn't look like a toddler did it. Okay, so I think that is a little better. I'm gonna go in and add mascara and then do my brows actually off camera because this is already taking a lot of time and don't want you guys to have to sit through like a 45-minute video. And then I will come back and we will do face and of course a lower lash line because I don't want you to think that this eye look is just done here. I'm really going to add a lot of peach underneath to pop because I think it looks so good on any color eye. I think peach is like a really gorgeous universal color. Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. I think it just makes your eyes pop. So give me a minute. So I have just added some mascara. Lately I've been using the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash in Bryn, which is like their rich black color. I really like it and it curls well. Also, I just added a little white liner on my waterline using my usual NYX Wonder Pencil in 01 Light. I just think it helps make your eyes pop and look really big. And yeah, as I said before, we go in with some under shadow. We're going to prime, conceal, do the whole face. So, time for that. Right, so of course, I'm starting with my e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. It smells like tea tree oil. I really like this stuff. It kind of leaves your base poreless and silky, but it also is a little bit sticky, which is good because you want that foundation to stick to your base. One of my absolute favorites, the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation. I'm in shade 150. Just going to go in on the back of my hand, away from where that eyeliner is. I usually only need 2 pumps, maybe 3, and a damp beauty blender. Of course, my Shape Tape Concealer. Now, since the Fenty foundation is so full coverage, as you can see, and this stuff is so full coverage, as most people know, I'm not going to be using too much. When I see, like, beauty gurus do, like, a whole, like, this much of it, I'm like, oh my god, how did you blend that out? I mean, like, do you, girl? But for me, that just ends up looking kind of cakey. One fun tip that I have recently picked up, because I'm very into my base and baking and all that, is to go in with your beauty blender again after you've applied everything before you bake and just kind of press up against where those under eye creases will form, especially close to the lower lash line. Make sure everything is flattened before you bake, because you don't want to bake in the creases that have already happened if you get creasy if you decide to bake. But for those of us that do, that really like that, first go in with your beauty blender and just make sure, or a sponge or whatever, and make sure that those are pressed down. Alright. This step is totally optional, but recently I have fallen in love with this Dior. It's called Dior Skin Forever and Ever Loose Control Powder, and it's a translucent shade. It's talc free. It looks so good on the skin and really helps like mattify and set the makeup. So I've been going in and just kind of lightly dusting this before I bake. Again, totally optional, but if you're someone who really likes to set your face and doesn't mind a powder, this is a great powder. It's very, like, you can't really even tell you're wearing it. It just keeps the liquids in place where you put them. Now I'm going to bronze all over with my Milani bronzer. It is in the shade Bronze 01 Glow. And big fluffy brush, swirling motions, of course, tap off the excess. Now, I love bronzer. You don't have to do it, but I think it's a really good step as like the blender between your contour and just your regular base. So I like to do it just to make sure that everything is like buffed well, it looks extra blended, and you don't have those like super harsh contour lines. I know it's not for everyone, but it's definitely a step that I like, especially if I'm going like full glam like I am today, obviously. Of course, time for blush, and I'm going in with a shimmery blush. I love this. A lot of people shy away from shimmery blushes because they think it kind of amplifies any texture on their skin, but I think if you lay down a good base, a shimmery blush looks so beautiful, especially because it really like helps you transition into the highlight so you don't have that like block highlight. But yeah, again, this is Sparkling Bellini from Too Faced and just a regular blush brush. I like to go all around the thing, tap off. Now, going in for contour, lately I've been really loving this Pixie blush. I know it's a blush, but I've been using it as a contour because, like, look how dark it is. And it's called the Fresh Face Blush in the shade Beach Rose. It comes with a ton of product, but I think it looks a lot like a contour bronzer. A bronzer. But yeah, going in with my angled brush and tapping it off and blending upwards on my cheekbones is where I start. because I have just put so much powder all over my face, and before I go into bake, I like to just kind of do a layer of setting spray, and not really like my full setting spray, but I like to use any of the Mario Badescu, I don't know how you say it, but I love this stuff. And I use the cucumber aloe one. You can use the rose water, really any kind of like mist that'll kind of soak in the powder. I know it sounds weird, but trust me on this one. And then of course I use my fan and just kind of like fan it in before I go into bake, because you don't want a wet face to bake on. Almost forgot that because this is such like a full coverage, full glam look, I like to do my first layer of highlight. Yes, you heard that right, my first layer of highlight before I go in and bake, and then I'll do another more precise one after. Of course, using butterscotch from my ABH Glow Kit. Bake, I'm going in with my Fit Me by Maybelline loose finishing powder in the shade 05 Fair, and the same damp beauty blender that we have been using, of course, doing under my eyes and especially along underneath the contour. And now going in with a little more highlight, because that's just who I am. Tiny, more precise, fluffy brush into Starburst on the tip of the nose. And now for the lower lash line, I'm going back in with this palette and using the darker shade and a little bit of a tapered fluffy brush. And then I'm going to take a fluffy brush like this with just a little tiny bit of color and kind of buff out so that everything looks blended. Back in with my Thrive Cosmetics mascara, just going to do a little bit on my lower lashes and then curl my upper ones again and do maybe like one more coat just so they're like pop. Alright, and now I'm just going to give myself a good spritz with Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray and fan it out before I wipe off all the foundation on my lips because gross, and go in with a liner and a gloss, and we will be all done. And also a trick I've picked up from a few makeup artists that I love and follow is to go in, and if you see any kind of creasing, just use that beauty blender we've been using and just tap over everything. To line, I'm going in with the Kylie Cosmetics Dirty Peach liner, and I'm just gonna, why not, talk about how I line my lips because I've already been so chatty in this video. I like to start on the bottom and go a little bit lower than my natural lip, right in the middle, but then follow my natural lip line on the side so it doesn't look obvious. And then for the top, I like to go just a little bit higher than my Cupid's bow, but again, on the sides, keep it in line with my natural lip to give me that kind of like bigger pout without looking like, oh my god, her lips are so overdrawn. And of course, if you feel like you messed up a little or there's like liner where it shouldn't be, I just take a Q-tip, lick it, and go around the sides. And now I'm going in with this Glamour Dolls gloss. It doesn't have a name of what it's called. It might be called Sweet Treats, but it's just a little lip gloss. It looks like an ice cream cone, or ice cream cone, a popsicle, and I think it's so cute. And it literally like smells and tastes like peaches. Alright, well thank you so much for watching. This concludes my tutorial on this peachy, full glam, super glowy, very a lot. This was a lot, so it's definitely not something that I would wear every day. You don't have to wear it every day if you are that kind of girl, more power to you, but it is a lot of makeup on my face. I hope you learned a few tips and tricks from me. I hope you like the final look. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram right down below. Leave any comments if you like this, if you want me to do an actual brow tutorial, I can try and do that on camera. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate your support.